The headlights didn't swerve. They accelerated. Ryan Calloway heard the engine behind him on that empty county road and turned just in time to recognize the driver. His best friend. The SUV slammed into him and kept going. By morning, the town called it a tragic hit and run. But this wasn't an accident. It was revenge behind a steering wheel. The headlights came out of nowhere. I heard the engine before I saw the car, a low, deliberate growl behind me on that empty stretch of county road just outside Ashford. Then the impact came like a gunshot. Metal crushed, glass exploded. My body lifted, weightless for a single impossible second, and then the world slammed back into me. But that's not where this story begins. It begins 3 days later, in the rain, with my best friend lying in a coffin and half the town whispering that his death was a tragic hit and run, and me standing there, knowing it was murder. My name is Lila Bennett. I'm 29 years old, a freelance investigative journalist who left New York City 2 years ago after my father had a stroke. I came back to Ashford thinking I'd stay for 6 months. I never planned on investigating my best friend's death. His name was Ryan Calloway. We'd grown up together, shared school lunches, secrets, stupid teenage dreams about leaving this place. He did leave, briefly, went to Chicago, tried real estate, failed spectacularly, and came back with debt and a bruised ego. 2 weeks before he died, he told me something that changed everything. "It's him," Ryan had said, staring down at his beer bottle in O'Malley's bar. "Ethan screwing me over." Ethan Mercer. The third point in our childhood triangle. We'd all been inseparable once, but adulthood had a way of introducing money into friendships, and money corrodes. Ethan had stayed in Ashford. He'd built a construction company that suddenly started landing major contracts. Ryan claimed he'd invested in Ethan's first project years ago. No paperwork, just trust. Now that project had turned into something big, a commercial development on the outskirts of town, and Ryan wanted his share. "He owes me," Ryan insisted. "Do you have proof?" I asked. Ryan's silence said enough. The night of the accident, Ryan was walking home from O'Malley's. It was a straight road, poorly lit but familiar. According to the police report, a dark SUV hit him from behind and never stopped. No witnesses, no cameras, no clear tire marks. The official statement from Ashford PD called it a tragic vehicular homicide by an unknown driver. I read the report 3 times. Something felt off. For one, the coroner's estimate of impact speed didn't match the damage pattern described. The injuries suggested acceleration at the moment of impact, almost as if the driver had pressed the gas intentionally. And then there was this: faint traces of dark blue automotive paint embedded in Ryan's jacket fibers. Dark blue. Ethan drove a dark blue Ford Explorer. I didn't want to believe it, so I went to see him. Ethan's house sat on a hill overlooking the valley, expensive now, renovated, a symbol of how far he'd climbed. He opened the door looking exhausted but controlled. "I'm sorry about Ryan," he said before I could speak. "We all lost someone." "We?" I asked. His jaw tightened. "Don't do this, Lila." "Where were you Tuesday night?" "At home." "Anyone confirm that?" "My wife." "Convenient." He stepped aside. "You think I killed him?" "I think you two had a fight." "We argued," he admitted, "about money, about stupid history, but I didn't run him down like some psycho." The word "run" echoed between us. I watched his eyes carefully. There was anger there, and something else. Fear? When I left, I noticed something in his driveway. His SUV wasn't there. The police had already inspected Ethan's vehicle. They found nothing suspicious. But small-town investigations often meant surface-level checks, especially when the suspect was a major employer who sponsored Little League and donated to the mayor's campaign. So I asked for access to the evidence photos. One image caught my attention, a close-up of Ethan's front bumper. There was a faint scuff mark on the lower right corner. The report labeled it "old cosmetic damage." I zoomed in. The paint beneath the scratch wasn't dark blue. It was lighter, as if something had been painted over. I drove to the body shop on the edge of town, Franklin Auto Repair. "Did Ethan Mercer bring his Explorer in this week?" I asked the mechanic. The older man wiped his hands on a rag. "Can't discuss clients. It's about Ryan Calloway." That name softened him. He hesitated. "Just routine touch-up," he finally muttered. "Small dent, right front bumper." "When?" "Morning after the accident." My pulse spiked. "Did it look old?" He paused again. "Didn't look old." That wasn't enough. It was suspicion, not proof. I needed something that tied Ethan directly to that road at that exact time. Then I remembered something about Ryan. He'd recently started using a fitness tracker, one of those watches that recorded routes, heart rate, and GPS data. I'd helped him set it up. The police report mentioned personal items recovered. The watch was in evidence. I pushed until I got access to the device's data through a contact I still had in New York. The GPS log showed Ryan walking steadily down County Route 18 at 11:47 p.m. At 11:47:12 p.m., the data stopped. But there was something else. The watch had briefly connected to a nearby Bluetooth device, just for 3 seconds before impact. The device ID was partially logged. I ran it through a database. It matched the factory Bluetooth system installed in a 2022 Ford Explorer, Ethan's model. Still circumstantial, until I checked something else. County Route 18 had no traffic cameras, but the commercial development site, Ethan's development, did. I drove out there and spoke to the security guard. "Can I see footage from Tuesday night?" "Why?" "Because Ryan Calloway was killed 5 miles from here, and I believe the person responsible drove through this entrance." The guard looked uneasy. "Mr. Mercer said no one's to access footage without him." That was enough. I contacted a former colleague who specialized in digital recovery. Within 24 hours, we had a copy of archived footage from a cloud backup. At 11:39 p.m., Ethan's SUV exited the development site. At 11:52 p.m., it returned. 11 minutes unaccounted for. County Route 18 was exactly 5 miles away. I confronted him again. This time, I didn't knock. I walked straight into his garage while he was inside. The SUV sat there, polished and innocent. "I have footage," I said. He froze. "You left the site at 11:39. Ryan died at 11:47. You came back 11 minutes later." He said nothing. "I have Bluetooth data placing your vehicle within feet of him seconds before impact." His breathing changed. "You were angry," I continued. "He threatened to sue, to expose your handshake deal. Maybe you thought you'd scare him. Maybe you meant to stop short." Ethan's eyes filled with something dark. "He wasn't supposed to die," he whispered. The words hung heavy in the garage. "I just wanted him to understand he couldn't blackmail me," he said. I drove up behind him, revved the engine. He turned around, yelling. I lost my temper. "You hit him." I tapped the gas, just to scare him. "But you didn't brake." Silence. I panicked. He said finally, "I couldn't lose everything." "So you left him in the road." His face crumpled. The arrest happened the next morning. The official charge, second-degree murder. The town was divided. Some called it an accident fueled by rage. Others called it what it was, deliberate violence disguised as misfortune.
At Ryan's second memorial, this one quieter, more honest, I stood by his grave alone. Ashford felt smaller now. Friendship, I'd learned, can rot from the inside long before it explodes outward. Ethan hadn't woken up that morning planning murder, but resentment grows teeth, and anger behind a steering wheel becomes a weapon. I sometimes replay that imagined moment, headlights flooding Ryan's back, the engine growling, the split-second decision between brake and gas. Justice came, but it didn't bring him back. As I walked away from the cemetery, I realized something else. In small towns, crimes don't hide because there are no clues. They hide because people don't want to look. I did. And the truth